Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Eden Just Be Spiritual Boom, in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Who do I have here with me today? Who are you?
I'm Bailey.
Who's behind you?
Oh, this is Violet.
Welcome, Bailey. Okay, quick thing. Bailey is a dear friend and client of mine. So she's local here in Akron, Ohio, which is really interesting. Okay, and today we're going to get very topical. We are recording this show, and it will be on the Grassroots Network tomorrow and be on my other channels on Wednesday, because typically I record 2 weeks in advance, but some things have happened in terms of guest scheduling, and then things are going on in the world, which is actually really good to get topical, because in a sense, we are in literal hell when you watch pictures from California. So we are going to talk about the fires in California, which again, looking like Maui a lot. And I do want to go a little bit into MK Ultra today, because that is trending as a search in the US and worldwide. So I want to, if people are looking to find out more information behind that, I would like to put it out there, because that alone in all this is huge. Okay, how we know each other. It's how many years do you think it's been at this point, Bailey? I tried to look it up, but my calendar wouldn't go back that far.
4 or 5 years.
Okay, 4 or 5 years. All right, and you lived with me for about 6 months, and that was when I started this podcast. And for the first 30 some odd episodes, I did just audio, and Bailey would come in and kind of give a little intro and enlighten it. I thought it was really cool. Like, I called her the sidekick. So it was. And to have you back on the show now is it's so neat. Okay. And in a minute, we'll go into more about who you are. Because one of the great things I loved about Bailey being on the show today too is a lot of the folks I have in here with, not intentionally, are usually 50 and above. Like, I've had some 30-year-olds, some 40-year-olds. Most of the conferences that I've gone to, the Patriot conferences, Truther, even in galactical communities, it's mostly older people. Now, I know some younger folks that know what is going on, yet you do.
Yes.
And yes. And what I love about it too is, to me, there are tiers of knowing. There's that Patriot kind of knowing that constitutionally things are not correct. Then there's the truther knowing, which is a little bit more than that. And a lot of truthers that I know a lot about the galactical pieces as well. And then there's the galactical piece, which to me, if you know all of those, you got it going on. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions in a moment. All right. I do want to give a quick nod to my appliances. I talked about this on the last show, but I think it's very pivotal in terms of the bigger picture going towards the United States today. All right. So I stated last week, I got rid of all the appliances in my kitchen that were about 20 years old. And they were all working decently. Like, my refrigerator was working well, except for the ice maker. But I just thought, it's just time. It's just time. So it's been 5 months, my washing machine door started having some troubles. So 5 months. So I called in, and luckily they will fix it, because I have a year of things being fixed. And the woman basically goes, that is probably going to be happening to you. So just heads up. So when the technician came in, I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this man's brain. Turns out I have GE appliances, and he would have said a while ago that GE, he would give a thumbs up, that they are really good. And he's like, now, no, He said that refrigerator you have there, they were just bought out, or okay, I might not be 100% accurate on this, but a Chinese company. We can't. If you have a leak in that refrigerator right now, we can't fix it. We don't know how to determine it. Your dishwasher, probably the electric face, you'll have issues with that, and that's going to cost you like $800. Your appliances in general now in your kitchen, I give them about 7 years. So, and
Wow.
he said, I would really encourage getting a warranty because you'll use it and you'll need it. And then I just sat there going, I just got rid of appliances. I mean, they weren't the prettiest in the world, yet they were working and they were good. And my refrigerator might have lasted another 3 to 4 years. So I just sat there going, okay, what? Okay, one of the reasons that this is going on, the technician stated, was because of first all of the oh gosh, I totally blanked on the name. The energy settings that are being asked for in the US. Um, so to make your appliance energy efficient. So to do that, it's putting a lot of pressure on the manufacturers. So to have it be energy efficient and to be a top quality piece, he was like, it'd be too expensive for most people to afford. So they mass produce something that everyone can afford, plus the fact that manufacturing has gone down, plus the fact that equipment and to have so the same thing when I talk to my contractor clients and that sort of thing, like just materials are just yuckier. So when you have all this in combination with things are not well made, things are kind of falling apart. Okay, so this to me, okay, Bailey, give me your impression on this too. Goes to cars, goes to airplanes that we are in, goes to everything. So for me personally, right now, I am really going to curtail buying any big products at this point. Services, yes. So there are a couple of ceiling fans in my house that need to be replaced. And now I'm like, no, I'm not going to touch them. I'm just going to let them be. Um, I got carpet a couple years ago and it started piling within a couple months. Now they changed it. And then when they changed it out, the person who did it so badly. I had to have someone come back out and set it up again. So, what do you like? I would not buy a new house right now. Okay, what do you say to that, Bailey? Okay, that was a lot of talk.
I agree with it all. Yeah, I would say the quality in every single thing that we own has gone down, from computers to dishwashers and refrigerators. Everything has gone down, even our cell phones. Um, I mean, the software updates that we do. I know that the companies themselves like to slow them down. Yet, what
Oh
is
yeah, they
that
do.
telling you?
Hmm.
We are progressing in the future. Things should be getting better. They should not be getting worse whatsoever. And the fact that they are getting worse and looking better is an even greater facade that they're playing on us.
All right, well, let's take this time to go tell us a little bit about you, because as my first question usually is, how did you come to see the Matrix? So that'll be next. But I know you got your yoga teacher training. Yeah, tell us about you as a human being, as a spiritual being. Let's go.
Yeah, I got my yoga certification a few years ago. Reiki 1 and 2 certification last year. I've been in Tai Chi, Qigong for the past 5 years. Um, yeah, I would say my spiritual awakening really took off about 6 years ago. Um, and although I've been on this awakening train for quite some time, nothing's ever felt right. I've kind of questioned everything starting from when I was going to church as a kid in Sunday school, up until I got my first, I think it was an iPad. And the only thing I had on there was games and YouTube. And I would search YouTube all night long, going through all the conspiracy theories known to man. And I was in middle school going through this
I know I
stuff.
was going to ask you how. Wow.
So I would take this stuff and I would like bring it to my dad and be like, "Whoa, Dad, look at this." And he would shut it down every time.
Okay, so what were you looking at?
I know one was a 9/11 video. And I showed that to him and he was like, "That's not true." I'm like, "Yeah, but look in the video,
Wow.
it's showing you." And he's like, "No, I was alive when that happened, so you don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Okay, all right."
Man, that's a big one too. I mean, for you to even, so when your dad shut it down, were you just like, okay, I'm just going to keep looking on my own, or did it shut you down?
Yeah. I
Didn't
mean,
shut you down.
it shut me down from bringing that stuff to him
Okay.
again. Yeah, I kept researching on my own because again, nothing felt right. And researching this stuff, it felt right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you all by yourself in doing that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, give me another one that you used to research.
It was the hurricane,
Katrina?
Katrina. Yeah, Katrina. Yeah. When
That's amazing because that was most people that are on the show, they've either known about this for a long time or when COVID happened, that was their big awakening. I had another person that Katrina was their big one. Okay,
wow.
what did you notice about that?
When I first saw it on the news, because I was young when it was playing on the news,
Hmm.
and it just seemed like another natural disaster at the time. But then I saw this one YouTube video that just kind of showed more in depth of the actual disaster, and it didn't sit right with me.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think there was actually any like evidence that showed in there
Yeah.
in that first video that I watched, yet it set the train for me.
What do you think that was where it just didn't sit with you? How how can that be when so many people today cannot do that or they're not willing to do that and right off the bat you knew that something wasn't fitting?
I don't know. I guess I've always had a second thought that comes in that just, "Oh, what about this?" And then "Oh, yeah, what about that? What if that were to happen?" And then I keep going on that train. What about this and that and this? So yeah, so many possibilities pop in my head. I don't always just take the first round explanation.
Okay, and I should say for those who can't see Bailey, she 23.
24.
That's right, 24. Wow. Were at this time or as you've progressed, have any of your friends connected or been like, "Oh, again, has it always been you?"
Um, yeah, I would say it's always been me. Yeah, I never talked to my friends about it in school. Um, or at least I can't remember myself doing so. Um, not until about college. I had some friends that were kind of on the same wavelength as I was, more into questioning around them. Um, but no one was as deep as I was.
Hmm.
And I also didn't let it phase me in a way. Like that was kind of like my secret life behind the shadows that I did my research with.
Okay, so not letting it phase you, yet you knew something was going on.
Right. Yeah, like
Okay.
I still had to play the part of being in high school and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life and oh, college and career and everything. So it was a hard game to play along with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. How about we go? into California. And let me just give it a generic nod if this is appropriate. You've been through some hard stuff. When you say,
Yeah.
okay, so I feel part of your awakening is also not just seeing everything that is, but also discovering who you are. So to really give a nod to Bailey that she is in it. Um, Not only now does she know about what's going on in the world, but when you really start to discover who you are amidst of all of this, it can be a little crazy. Just like right now, what's going on, I would say we at this point, from my perspective, the most chaos that I've seen. Okay, so part of my point to bring it to, so I also like look at the Alex Joneses of the world and Fox News Network, and I really appreciate Charlie Kirk and him going to colleges and talking about things. Yet if I see anybody who is negative, who is hateful, who's these people need to be killed, or like, to me, I would also devise, yeah, more fear porn. I know that term. So I want to approach all this like this stuff is really happening, yet positively, peacefully. And again, we're not in LA, so it's easy in a sense for me to say that because we're not experiencing all of this firsthand. But as a collective consciousness, we are. All right, so I just want to bring uplift and positivity, yet we're also going to discuss the reality of it. Okay, I've got my notes right here because I was watching a whole bunch of stuff today. All right, you kick it off, girl. I got stuff to add to it as well. What do you think about it?
Okay. I, when I first saw the
Yeah.
video about the fires going down, someone, I was showing someone at work and I paused halfway through it and I was like, wait a second, just a theory here, putting this out there. At this point, I had not seen anything about this, so this was just coming from my head. And I was like, wait a second, this is happening in LA in winter time. Bunch of wildfires breaking out. They're covering their evidence and they're posting it online, being like, oh, this is devastating. But they could be like, hey, evidence is gone, y'all.
Okay, what kind of evidence?
All their evidence.
Because I heard about that too, like potentially all the P Diddy. Okay, and do you think there's even more evidence and underground
Yes.
tunnels? And okay, let's hear it.
Yes. The entrance to the underground tunnels is now demolished. It no longer exists. Um, they have seen people pouring gasoline in the sewers. Um, it's also, as you exclaimed in the beginning, this is just like Maui. The
Mhm.
cars are being melted. Blue is surviving. Um, Also, apparently the Olympics are supposed to be there in 2028.
Yes.
So this is a great time for them to plan their smart city.
Yep.
Um, and but yeah,
Because
they're
I saw something like, aren't they like 2028 is like when they're going to start or reveal it, or that's
yeah, something like that. Break
okay.
ground or I don't know. But yeah, that's their plan.
Okay.
Um,
What the arson, like there several people were shown with arson. Of course, there's no water and the fire hydrant. I mean, I've got a list here of
yeah,
just of everything. Okay, you keep
budget
going.
cuts. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
I heard 3.4 million. Oh no, house and the standard home in the Palisades is 3.4 million. The budget cut was
se
81. Is this right? Or 64 million? Wait, do you have the number?
I have 17.5 million,
Oh man. All right, you go ahead.
and it was 7 months before this
Hmm.
happened. Major insurance companies canceled policies 4 months before.
Yep. And a lot.
Um,
I saw a list of at least five, like State Farm, like names that you know
oh
of.
yeah,
Okay.
I started to write them down and then there was too many. I was like, you know what? This isn't, that's
It
not the
was a
point.
lot. It was a lot. And
Um,
what about stolen fire hydrants?
oh my gosh, yes. That actually made me giggle a little bit because they're selling off the parts for the fire
Yeah.
hydrants. What? Are you kidding
Hmm.
me? Apparently one arsonist, I don't know if he was found yesterday or today, but he had 5 cell phones on him and a United Nations prepaid debit card on him.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. What about Gavin Newsom and moving the water to, if I'm saying this correctly, to protect this smelt fish?
Yes.
And I also read that right now there are over 100,000 under evacuation orders. At least 5 deaths have been reported. Okay, I'm sure there are many more than that. Have you heard any other updates on that?
I haven't heard a count on the death toll yet, but I've heard it's increasing and rising. I can't imagine what it's actually like as well. Because I don't know if they're trying to do a grab here as well, like they did in Maui.
Mhm.
Like how there was, I don't know, what was there, 3,000 kids missing from Maui? I don't know if they're trying to do that from
Jeez.
LA too. I haven't heard anything about that yet I wouldn't be surprised. They take every opportunity.
Okay, I always talk about topical things on the show. Yeah, we're gonna get deep down into it. I'm going to stay on this tangent, but I just saw this today. People not rated by the FBI, pedophiles associated with Epstein, Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden. How? Let's talk about how all this, how it all relates. These underground tunnels, these children, um, and maybe let's talk about the galactical component of it. Well, I was at your place one time and American Horror Story came on, and American Horror Story to me shows exactly what is going on in our world. And
Yes.
it is frightening to watch and is incredibly evil. And they had one episode that talked about Eisenhower, um, essentially when the aliens or whatever came down and basically said, "Hey, let's put a deal together." So everything that is going on to me is just it is like, and when we talk about MK Ultra in a moment, it is like an alien abduction. What
Hmm.
happens and what is done to human beings, it's equal to me
Yes.
with that. All right, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say everything is tied together. Everything. And I'm sure there's even more of a story around these fires that we haven't heard yet that hasn't broken the public yet. It's quite amazing once you start connecting the dots.
What before this, I guess, was your most, and we've talked about this before. What was your most interesting conspiracy theory?
You know, the one that really blew my socks off was the adrenochrome of it all and Hollywood and our everyone that's supposedly important in our media. That's what really threw me for a loop. And I think once I started going down that rabbit hole, it really made if you know the name, they're in the game. And it made it so much more true as you keep going down that hole. Um,
Okay, and I know people that are listening or watching on the Grassroots Warrior Network are probably pretty familiar with these topics. Excuse me, but for those who might not be, they're probably not listening to this. But do you mind going into what adrenochrome is?
sure, might as well. Well, it depends on which place is doing it and how they're extracting it, but it's from a child. and is extracted from the child when the child is under extreme intense fear, and it's usually taken out of their pineal gland, out of their head.
And a lot of times it's taken right before they're killed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And that's why all of our actresses and actors and politicians look so beautiful and young and haven't aged in 20 years.
Because they're ingesting it.
Yeah.
Yes. When you start really waking up to what is going on in the world, it is American Horror Story.
It is.
I mean, it is crazy. It is evil. It is unspeakable. I mean, even the fires that are going on in LA. I mean, that is horrible because it does, like, when you look at pictures, it is hell on earth. When you look at pictures of Maui, it's hell on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my job, again, is to be in it. And I've expressed this before, yet not of it. And we talked about today, like right now, Bailey and I live in kind of the Akron, Ohio area. And, it's all right. Yeah, there's a part of it that is pretty cool because we're not in even like Columbus or Cincinnati is slated to be a smart city soon. So we are in this little pocket of quietness.
Yes.
So part of that is really good right now. When, like, to me, when I first found out about, Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, all those, and I love Tom Hanks. I mean, he is a revered actor. That he is one of the henchmen, I guess, of all this. And then when Anne Heche was apparently killed, when she was going to start coming out with her story, and she was captured on film, I think, by a plane. She was put in a body bag and she unzipped it and came out of the bag.
Yeah.
I mean, and then in terms of cloning, I mean, it just continues to get so big. Like, who is actually alive? Who's been cloned? How many actors, actresses are real? How many have already been, let's call, disposed of? And then in terms of the white hats, who actually do we see in this entertainment world and political world that we think is not great? And it turns out that they're really helping this initiative and helping people out. Like, let's go for a minute. For Zuckerberg, we talked about this, that he was on Joe Rogan's show recently. And first, it really doesn't look like him.
No, not at all.
Yeah, like a different, and his spiel was that Facebook were pressured to censor. Okay, I don't know if I buy into that, and apparently he's on the Epstein list as well. Yet, what if it turns out he's a white hat? I don't know.
No.
Crazy.
It's incredible.
What else? Okay, California. Go back to that for a second. So, FEMA, not being able to get support from FEMA. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else on. Oh, the huge effort put on. Oh, there was a firefighter shortage. Then a huge effort put on inclusion. Yeah, assuming a whole bunch of money spent. And I also saw a post. Why didn't Biden use the weather modification ink so it could rain on LA? I thought that was an interesting
That's funny.
post. Yes. And I know, let's see, some of the stars' homes that were destroyed. I think Hunter Biden's was destroyed. Not a star, but a political figure. Anthony Hopkins, Paris Hilton.
I think the Kardashians.
Oh, seriously?
I don't know if that for a fact, but I saw something from Chloe.
Okay,
So I think so.
That would make sense in terms of getting rid of evidence. Shall we take this turn to go into ML? It's MLK Ultra, right? Suddenly I'm like, is that
MK
correct?
Ultra.
Okay. Martin Luther King, MK Ultra. Shall we parlay into that for a second?
Yeah, we shall.
Let me give some background on this because I watched a documentary of it today. Like, I am well aware of it. Yet, when you watch something for like an hour that goes deep into it and you learn all the ins and outs and everything, it is like, again, I feel like I know a whole bunch, but every time, even the fires in California, there's a part of me that my mouth drops open. Like, what more? What more? Okay, so
Mhm.
this one was really discussing about there are two kinds, the psychiatric kind and then the global kind, which we call that the generic, more media, propaganda, disinformation, spinning a story. And what MK Ultra can include sensory isolation, food deprivation, good and bad cop, hypnotism, two terms, well, LSD, alcohol, other psychedelic drugs, to, let's see, defense disruptive therapies. Like some of these words were new to me. Depatterning, psychic driving, brainwashing, and hopefully I'm saying this right. Abdu Ghraib, which was one of the, it was in Iraq and taken over by the Americans. And in 2004, it was really opened up, and there was such torture that was done there by Americans to Iraqi citizens, mostly a lot of women and teenagers, to the point of mock killings, hooding, sexual humiliation, cultural humiliation. There, there, there's so much that I wrote down about all of this, and so it started. So, oh gosh, I can't contain myself. The gentleman that was on this documentary talked about this has been utilized for tens of thousands of years, but it started being documented in the 1950s. So started after World War II, called OSS, the Office of Strategic Services. Then there was a 2-year lull taken over by the CIA in 1947. Their programs have run through the 50s into 1973, and they've always been classified top secret. And parts of it still go on today. Yet, this is also interesting that so many major teaching institutions in the US have been involved, like MIT, Cornell, Johns Hopkins University, Princeton, and Stanford. So, what this did, huge human atrocities that have been committed. Um, it's just astounding, and so many people were brought into it, and they were not told what was going to happen to them as well. All right, whew, I was good a bit too. All right, Bailey, what would you say to that?
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's hard to talk about.
It
It
is,
is
yeah.
hard to talk about.
It's because it's something you don't want to realize it actually happened in our
Hmm.
history and to our people. And it's still going on in some capacities, yet I believe their main experiment was shut down, right? Um, and
Supposedly,
supposedly, yeah, that's a
right?
good point. I'm more familiar with MK Ultra within Hollywood. That's where I've done most of my research. I've done some research on MK Ultra, like within the military and the CIA.
Hmm.
Yet I've always been more, I guess, inclined or more, what's the word? More interested in the MK Ultra in Hollywood. And especially since I was like a Disney kid. I loved watching Disney growing up and Nickelodeon and all of those shows. So for me to realize that that was actually a trap for all those actors and actresses as kids, and growing up and realizing that and seeing that, and when I was a kid, I wanted to be them.
Hmm.
So it's hard to see that, and it's also hard to watch these shows now, and because I can see it now.
Yeah.
I can see everything that they were trying to show us.
I've
It's
watched
hard.
the ones with all the feet
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, yes.
Well, let me ask you. So, for some examples of people that have been mind controlled from our past, Patty Hearst, Charles Manson, Timothy McVeigh, and as we go into Disney, Britney, Justin Timberlake. All right, who else?
Demi Lovato. Oh, who was that one girl? She was a major one. Ashley or Amanda Bynes. She was a major one. Miranda Cosgrove. Yeah, there was a lot of them. Pretty much everyone that you saw in Disney.
Okay, so what do you feel through your research that they are put through, and why?
They are put through such control from when they are born. Like they are born into the system to be bred to be actors and actresses and to be controlled to put out this narrative to the kids and to play along with it and to go along with it and to just not ask any questions and not be defiant. So I can't imagine the things that they went through, drugs and torture and whatnot to keep them.
And extreme sexual abuse, from what I understand.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, even the Olsen twins and what they had to go through on Full House, that horrible stuff. So yeah, they were controlled without means.
And
And
Bob Saget, I have seen
oof,
videos on him that are just,
he openly admits it,
oh, yeah. Again, it's one of those things that you just sit there and you go, this can't be real.
right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-mm-mm.
and how does that not get aired everywhere? How do people still love Bob Saget after seeing an interview like that? It's beyond me.
Yeah,
Um,
there was one where he, let me see if I get this right, had a blow up doll, I think, on set.
yes. Yes.
Okay. And he was doing things with it and didn't quote unquote realize that everyone could see him or something like that, and he was joking. And then there's one of his bits or something where he talks about this family, and okay, I'm I get a little graphic here, that someone takes someone's heads off and they come into their body. I mean, it was just I was sitting there going, why is this funny? It's
Right.
horrible. It's horrible and
Yes.
graphic.
Hmm.
Oh, it is really hard talking about some of
It
this
is.
stuff.
And I think our culture has been so desensitized,
Yeah.
maybe even MK Ultra'd ourselves in a way through our media and through what we've been shown. And I mean,
Yes.
growing up in school, we were shown 9/11 attacks every year.
Mhm.
And same with everything else. So we've been mind controlled ourselves to be desensitized to anything that would come our way.
To violence. And hey, let me remark on this. It was really interesting. My daughter was with me a couple weeks ago, so we watched some older movies, and these were like 2000, so not too old. They were rated R. And when we got done, I was like, wait a minute. There was, even in a rated R film, there was minimal cussing, there was no nudity,
Wow.
very no violence in these. Okay, then you turn to rated R movies today.
Full
They
other
are
game.
so graphic. There have been in the past 2 or 3 years, I have watched some stuff. I'm like, okay, so okay, to get graphic again, there was this one movie where, oh, I can't even remember the name, where a girl shrunk down and she ended up, okay, giving head to a guy as her little body. So they showed her on this penis, literally showed her. I sat there and I'm like, you have got to be kidding. And teenagers are watching this. What, oh, Zaya, I think it was Zaya. What was the Euphoria
Oh,
that she was
yes.
on?
Yes.
And apparently that was a big deal with younger
Oh,
folks.
yeah. It's a very hit show.
And I watched one episode. I was like, you have got to be kidding. What what
Yeah.
is this?
Yes. It's horrible. And we're the my generation is so used to it. They crave it to where if they watch something that's not that, it's boring.
Girl, I
It's
was thinking
wild.
about this today that my life is rated G. It really it like, I'll watch a lot of the stuff I watch because I want to know what's going on in the world. But for me right now, no alcohol,
Mhm.
no sugar. I got rid of caffeine. In terms of the words that come out of my mouth, I'm very conscious of them, very high vibration, love. Not to say that I'm perfect, that sometimes I don't get irritated or, angry with things, but I really try to and am this, to exude peace. So when I look at all of this out in the world, and again, pornography everywhere, your generation, Bailey, and younger, that alcohol, drugs, all the things to numb you, it's so prolific and so in your face. Tell me about, you said this the other day, pornography. What is it? I'm assuming it's just second nature to kids right now.
You're weird if you don't watch it. That's how it is right now.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's been like that since I was in high school. And that was 7 years, 6, 7 years ago. I can't imagine what it's like now. I mean, especially with OnlyFans going around. That's how these kids are making their money, selling feet pics, selling themselves. It's, and that's okay in our society.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you mind talking about OnlyFans? I saw I guess a documentary on that a year ago, but before then I had no clue. What is it?
It's basically like it's this porn site, but like you build your own platform. So like I would go on there and build my own platform, and whether this person only takes pictures of their feet or only does pictures of themselves or videos, or they'll do all sorts of things, and I I've never been on there. I can't imagine what the extent of it is at this point.
Yeah.
But basically people subscribe to your channel and they just give you money for the videos that they're watching or pictures that they're seeing. I'm not sure how it all works, but it's sick because you don't know who's watching these.
And I think too, people that's something they're willing to do at this point, that they're
Oh,
comfortable
and that's,
doing that.
and to each their own, but at least me personally, I would be worried about who's watching this from wherever in the world.
And the thing with pornography and this too, that once you get so deadened to normal intimacy, let's call it that, that to go, oh, well, again, I've seen normal intimacy, so I need to go into something that's fetishy, or so
Yes,
I'm so,
they get
I
bored.
need something more. Oh,
Yeah,
this wasn't violent. Now I need this more violent video game, and I'm going to play this.
it gets more
Girl,
and more and more. Yeah.
more and more. All right. I feel your generation. So we're going to star seed. I feel like I'm a star seed. I know I'm a star seed. I've got my little alien earrings on. Bailey's a star seed. That your generation is so important because I also believe that the crystalline children are being born. Like children right now that are coming in that do not have, that just come in and they're already awake and they're ready to go. And I think that's going to be such a wonderful impetus. Yet your generation, I feel, also has to be the one that's kind of in the middle of everything and has to be, we're going to change it. Okay. Because I'm doing my work here.
Mhm.
I'm a voice. I am, in working in my community, working with my clients, to those that want to know more, ushering that in and knowing that the more I hold the space and the more balanced I am, that I'm a pivotal part of this too. Yet your generation has been probably the most heavily indoctrinated as well. So to get
Yeah.
out of it, how do you think people are going to get out of it? How do you, like, the one thing about the fires that I feel it's one of these things like, come on, this may be a major impetus to help people wake up. And with Trump going into office in a week, that may, and that's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. All right, what do you think about people your age? What is going to be the factor that shakes them up and opens them up?
It's gonna have to be something that is shown behind the curtains because I fully believe that my generation has a good heart. They've got the good things, I don't know, in their view. It's just they're going after the wrong point of it. And I feel that we're all on the same page, yet we're going after the wrong things. And I feel like there's going to have to be something kind of like a Diddy thing, but bigger to help them realize that there's more going on than just the surface level that they're seeing.
Okay, so did you think that Diddy was a good, and the Kardashians? Okay, let's go. It's so interesting right now when you go to Kim's page on Instagram, as
Yeah.
well as the WHO's page, the World Health Organization on Facebook. The comments that are there, it is like, why doesn't the Who pay? Why don't they take their page down? Because the comments, when you look at them, maybe one is like, "Yo, this, thank you so much for that," and the rest is just like, "Y'all are bad. Do exactly whatever the Who recommends. Do exactly the opposite of that." Like it's starting to be like, look at this.
Mhm.
People are, but then it's like, why aren't they taking these things down? Like, are they there on purpose? Like, what is it?
I'm
I
curious
love
about
it.
that as well. Yeah.
And what were you telling me? Oh, you were watching a CNN clip on TikTok of the fires and the
Oh,
comments
yeah.
that were in there. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. I ended up watching that again because I wanted to know what that was about. And so CNN was talking about the fires happening in LA and they were blaming it on climate change. And so I went to the comments and it was wonderful. Wonderful. All joking about how there's no climate change and um, that they are the climate change.
Oh, that's a good point. Going back to that, an entertainment voice you feel was more riveting to people than versus politically, or like someone musically or entertainment wise that they've looked up to, so you feel like that's going to be the big impact.
Yes. Yes. Something that they all unify
Hmm.
care about. Yeah, Diddy was a close hit.
Okay. Or
And
they thought was important or looked up to.
yeah, yeah, I think it needs something bigger, but Diddy was a good start.
Do you feel, all right, it'll be really interesting when Trump gets into office with all these
Mhm.
lists. I'm curious if certain things are going to start to be exposed or if they're going to keep trickling out. And I just saw this another podcast with this guy that basically said, we have this woman who's been arrested and in prison, so referring to Ghislaine Maxwell, because she apparently divvied out all these children to all these people. Yet, whoever she divvied them out to, apparently it was no one. That she's sitting in prison because she did this, but whoever she divvied them out to, none of those people are being prosecuted. So apparently, right now, jokingly, it's just her, and she did all this, but no one apparently really wasn't to anybody. It was just her. So I thought that was a good way to say
Man,
it. Let's go into entertainers for a moment. What do you think of Taylor Swift?
there is more to that gal. More than a usual, like she's not an Ellen. Like she's got something more going for her. I don't know if it's a I know there's been some with that one show Inside Job that ran on Netflix. They said that she was a reptilian. Um, however, I've seen other evidence that she's the reincarnated high priestess of the
Mhm.
Satanic Church. Maybe it's a combo of the two. I don't know. But that girl's got some depth.
All right. What do you think of Sam Smith?
Oddly enough, I think he was MK Ultra too much to where he woke up a little bit and he's been trying to tell us, but he's not doing it in a super obvious way.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like he's been like over exaggerating things to make it look over exaggerated and
That's
make
true.
it look like, y'all, this isn't wake up, please.
Well, let's go then to Little Nas, who's
Mm,
incredibly exaggerated. All right, what do you think of him? These are all entertainers, by the way, and
I,
blood in his shoes.
yes, I'm curious about that kid because he's gone a little MIA the past year.
Yeah,
So that also makes me wonder about the shoes. Was that also an over exaggeration to make us? I mean, that music video was point blank, yet everyone ate it up in my generation and loved it because that's some of them liked the destruction piece of it.
yeah.
So they just ate that up. Yet there's parts of me that think that he's like a white hat in the
Hmm.
ring. Um, and he's been trying to get out of it. Yet I don't know for a fact. I you could tell me either way, and I'd be like, all right.
Oh, Billie Eilish.
Oh,
Yes. What do
her.
you think of her?
I think she's an MK Ultra gal. I think she's just a puppet, and I'd be surprised if she was not a puppet.
Yeah, I think she's highly influential.
Yes.
All right, I want to ask you this final question because our I can't believe our time's already gone by.
Wow.
I in terms of this being a spiritual battle, this great awakening, and I also feel that the vaccines were also to disconnect you from God, Jesus, source, all of that. And I also feel that there are so many young people today, especially who come to see me, who are struggling with God and the perception of God and feeling alone. And I think a lot of this has created loneliness and isolation and depression and division. All that's purposeful. That getting back to faith, getting back to the heart, that's what's going to merge us all. Again, that we are all part of this collective consciousness, that you and I are not separate. And we got on our shirts today. Bailey helped me with shirts, by the way. So I'm wearing my We Are in the Shift Together. She's got her AFCO shirt on, which means another effing growth opportunity. Let's go. Love that. So what is your relationship? Oh, this is a big question. What is your relationship right now with God?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
Um, because I've been personally going down my own rabbit hole with this the past while. I would say I'm closer to a higher power now than ever before. Yet I'm still on my path of finding that, I guess.
Yeah. Finding that within yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
And would this be a good time to do a big shout out to Dolores Cannon? I know
yes,
she's been highly influential with you. Yeah,
highly.
I love that woman. I mean, there as I go through the process, really discerning who I really feel is valuable, I guess, during this time, and she's one that I think has really helped people wake up.
Yes, she has helped me immensely.
Good. Okay, so getting there.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting there. And I would say that I see a clearer path ahead than ever before.
Well, look at that. Isn't that wonderful?
Mhm.
Okay, and I'll tag in to Bailey. Same thing for me. Like not, but my life was different growing up in the South, and everybody went to church except for me. So I was like, okay, I got to find this God. I got to find this faith, and I went, and nothing made sense. Um, Nothing made sense. Like
Mm.
this God's supposed to love you, but then all these people are being killed and murdered and called these names. Like that doesn't make sense. And so there was way more to it. So it took me starting meditation, and it was an energetic meditation class in my 20s that opened me up to spirit. So Bailey knows I do not question it at all because I couldn't do what I do without it. Like everything that I do in my work is about God, is about energy, and having a near death experience, which I already had so much faith in that just solidified even more. And then opening up to galactics, and again that we're not alone in this world, that again God is not just on this earth, everywhere, everywhere. It's just even the stuff that we talked about, that there's so much evil, there's also so much good, and it turns out we're all of it. And that's part of this awakening too, is that we can't separate ourselves from it because we are the evil, we are the beauty, we're every part of it.
Yeah.
And you right now, dear one, are getting to see that personally, which that's, a dark night of the soul that I feel that you're kind of in that right now. And I believe that a lot of people are in that right now, because when you have a true awakening, that is awakening to everything. Oh, okay. Anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Woo! All right, everybody listening. Bailey, I will I will do a meditation. If you want to say anything during this process, feel free. And before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to everybody, with love, consideration, that most of us know people who live in California, that even though we're not directly affected, we know someone who's affected, that there is so much care and there's so much heart that goes out to you. Maybe I'll integrate that into our meditation today. All right. So if you can get comfortable, shut your eyes if possible. Just be practice. And actually, I do want to start with that. So, Bailey, I'm going to request for you to open that beautiful heart of yours that you have. Okay. And me too. And trusting that all of humanity on some level, that it is all good and pure and beautiful. Like we're moving towards having trust in each other again. Because at the heart of it, we are a kind, beautiful, nurturing species. Yet we've been taught and trained that we are not that we are bad, that we are sinners, that we are evil. Okay. And there are people out there not doing great things. And I lived other lives where I didn't do great things. None of us are separate from that. So to extend love and care to those in California, to those in New Orleans, again, there's so many things that are happening right now, to those in New York, okay, that just by us doing this right now, we got you. Okay. And what you're going through, we are all going through. Yet to also trust, and this is where the faith kicks in, that all of this has to happen for us to wake up and to see the contrast and then to choose which direction we want to move into. So for me, beauty, love, peace. Okay, right now, for all of us to embody that as much as we can. Okay, and as we go through this world with discernment, learning to trust ourselves. And again, that we, the people, we, humanity, we are the ones who are going to change and make the difference. Not one person, not one leader, all of us. That our voices are strong, caring, and capable. And for me, right now, giving the world a big hug, giving the cosmos a big hug, also knowing there are all these entities that are on our side, that are there to have our backs. We just have to ask for help. Yet it's got to start looking ugly for people to wake up. So in a way, accept it. And with me also knowing there is really no death, that none of this really matters. Yet it does. And that we are in unparalleled times. You are here for it. You are important. Take a deep breath. And slowly open my eyes. Okay. How are you there, Snickerdoodle?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. And there's so much knowledge within you. I know I only brushed the surface. I'm sitting here going, oh, I should have asked about this. I should have asked about that. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on today. And yeah, just being you. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, y'all. Pia and Cullen will be joining me this week. Finally, there's been a little bit of hiatus with them. I'm so happy. Then David was going to be on this week, but we're going to hold him. He's the director of I hope I got this right, the Global Sound Institute. So really getting into sound and frequency as a way to really heal ourselves and to heal this earth. And the following week after that, someone who's really going to talk about dragons. All right, stay tuned. This is fun. Thank you, Bailey. See y'all
Thank you.
later. All right. Bye. See you, Violet.
Bye.
Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.